That's not happening.
Whew. Well, I don't think it is, but that's the magnitude of this situation.
Right.
And Pro Football Talk concludes that this would create a major PR hit for any team that signs him.
Right.
And you brought that up yesterday.
Yeah.
And that's unless and until Watson's PR team finds a way to counter the damage that has been done to his overall image in just 6 days.
Well, Skip, one lawyer wants to try this case in the court of public opinion.
Correct.
The other guy wants to try this case in a court.
Okay.
He can't win public opinion currently because of the sheer volume. 13 lawsuits filed, another 9 pending, possibly being filed. So 22, just the sheer volume alone is going to make... Now, if you had one, you're like, okay, I get it. But with 22 possible,
yep,
people are pausing and saying, hold on, wait a minute.
Yeah, wait a minute.
So basically, all he was doing was getting massages and playing football. Because we're talking about, Skip, basically we're talking about 2020 to 2021. And we're talking about 22 women. So it does not look good. But there, Skip, look, we've seen things that it didn't look good. It's like, oh, yeah, he's guilty or that person's guilty. And come to find out, it's going to be hard to dispel 22 situations. But I think Deshaun Watson deserves to have his day in court.
And I want to reiterate for both of us, we have no idea what did or didn't happen.
Correct.
We know what the allegations are, and we know what Deshaun's response was after the first lawsuit, that I've never had anything but the utmost respect for women.
Right.
Okay? That was after the first one. Now we're 13 on the way to 22.
Skip, look, the women deserve to be believed. But I hope this is not a situation, Skip, where, you know, he's had contact with these women. He's had a relationship that maybe was consensual, and now we see a situation where, okay, because it's just hard for me. Like I said, it's just hard for me to believe because of the volume.
Yes.
But I'm going to take the women at their word. They allege this. I want them to have their day in court. But it doesn't look good for Deshaun.
It does not look good. So almost every lawsuit includes this line. Watson's behavior is part of a disturbing pattern of preying on vulnerable women. We've seen that again and again. Mm-hmm. So what was most disturbing to me was one of the lawsuits filed yesterday. Mm-hmm. It alleges that Deshaun and that woman were together, massage therapist and client, just 3 weeks, it's almost 3 weeks ago, on March the 5th in Atlanta.
Right.
So this happened this month.
Right.
Tony Busby, the attorney for the women, says that back in February, he first contacted one of Deshaun's lawyers within his camp to inform him of the first lawsuit. And again, they were willing to settle that. So you could say money grab, but they did inform the camp this was coming down the pike.
Right.
So if that's true, then I would have to then leap to the conclusion that Deshaun knew there was at least one lawsuit coming, and he engaged in the same behavior once again on March the 5th, this month, March the 5th, that precipitated yet another lawsuit against him, where she alleges sexual misconduct.
Correct.
Whoa. Okay, so now I have to at least entertain the notion that he felt he had such privilege, such entitlement, that he wasn't doing anything wrong.
Right.
That even though somebody was going to sue him for civil damages, he just engaged in the same behavior again with another new massage therapist that he contacted via Instagram.
Skip, look, I'm not a psych, but it's just hard. It's just hard for me to be in a situation and someone says no, and then you go to someone else and they say no, and you continue this pattern of behavior. At some point in time, you're like, you know what? This isn't right. Okay. But Skip, 22. Skip, how do I, Skip, like I said, okay, maybe I can explain one or two. But Skip, how do I look away from 22? 13 and another 9 pending. Skip, how do I look away from that? Skip, if there's a, somebody side the road with a flat tire, you're like, okay. But a 22-car pileup, you're going to start to see, is everybody okay? Does anybody need assistance? Can I call someone? That's what this is. This is a 22-car pileup.
Remember, we talked the first day sitting in these seats
Yes.
on live TV
Right.
about the first lawsuit.
Right.
And we were concerned,
Right.
but it still came down to he said that she said.
Yeah.
And then came the second one, and I said, well, now it's he said that she said and she said.
Right.
Now
you got 22 she said against what he said.
And I feel for the league now because obviously the league took a hit over Ray Rice, didn't act quickly enough after then the video hit, and it was just so explosive because we saw the punch thrown and connect. And now I feel for the league because he's one of the big stars of the league, but at some point you have to do something because people will start to look to the league to, okay, now what?
Skip, I just feel bad for the league because only in professional sports is it the league's fault. If somebody does something like this at Google or Apple, they don't say Apple is bad. They don't say Google is bad. They say the individual was bad. The individual was flawed. But when it comes to the league, Skip, it's not like this. The league can't keep 24/7 on these guys.
Well, obviously, we put our NFL stars on such pedestals that the Google employee wouldn't be on.
Right. But Skip, it's not Roger Goodell's fault that someone chose to behave in risky behavior.
Right. And right now, we're still in that murky territory of we haven't gone to court yet.
Right.
And it's going to be very difficult for them to get to the bottom of this quickly.
I don't know, Skip, but here's another point. How does he play until this is resolved?
Just can't, which is why I think we're headed toward the old exempt list. You know, it's just the catch-all.
Yeah.
It's one place you can go where you're just on hold.
Well, Skip, with this kind of volume, Skip, man, I mean, this thing might go on years.
I would hope the NFL's investigation didn't have to go on for years. But I would bet that he is definitely going to get suspended. And remember, the attorney Busby is now saying, I'm giving packages of information to not only the Houston police, but the Harris County District Attorney.
Right.
Will they go back through this and decide to file a charge? He's calling for a grand jury investigation. Well, let's see. That could throw a whole nother wrench into this.
Right. Well, it's just.
I mean, many times the NFL has just waited for. Either.
But in the previous CBA, the Article 46 says the NFL does not have to wait to a charge.
No.
They can take precedent, whereas before, Skip,
I agree.
people got upset that the NFL was waiting for the proper, work its way through the proper channels.
Yes.
Where they say, well, you the NFL, you should take leadership. Okay, the NFL started taking leadership. Then the people say, well, you should let it run its proper course. So the NFL can't win in a situation like this. Because if they don't react, you should react. If you do react, you shouldn't have reacted.
And finally, sometimes in these matters, an athlete is so beloved in a city that he or she might get some preferential treatment from law enforcement, maybe kid-gloved a little bit to a fault. But in this case, Deshaun has basically burned his bridge to Houston because he's just saying, I want out. So if there was any preferential treatment to be had here, it's going to go the other way.
Yeah, I don't know with this volume of women, maybe it was one or two, Skip. It's 22 women, possibly, that says that he acted inappropriate or he made me feel uncomfortable or he touched me or he did something that I did not consent to or I didn't agree with. So I don't know how you curry favor in situations like this. And as you mentioned on Monday, well, we talked about this last week, Skip, is that where we are now, the behavior